Welcome back, my country people. This issue between the Senate President and Senator Natasha has really intensified following the allegation of sexual harassment against Akpabio. Natasha's husband has come out to address the public concerning this. Then we have from Akwa Ibom some set of women. I see them as, I don't know what to call those women, coming out to protest against Natasha. Can you guys really imagine that? Some women, they came out in mass to protest against Natasha Akpoti. A woman, a fellow woman like you, which is very, very funny. And obviously, you will know that those women, they pay them to do all of that. I call it charade. They pay them to do all of that. I can't see the reason why they should come out and protest. The most annoying part in all of this is that Akpabio, who is the main person, has not even come out to deny the allegation or whatsoever. He has not come out to say that I did it or Natasha this, Natasha that. He has not done that. But rather the wife, fellow senators, that one self, they make me they think, say, how Nigerians reason is what I don't really know. The so-called leaders, because now then they carry all this matter out. I saw another one when a presidential advisor, Senator Florence Itagiwa, where she also faulted Natasha. Can you imagine? Fellow women, na that one sef na im dey even dey surprise me. And in all of this, all of them wey dey talk all this thing, they dey against Natasha. They've not even called out the Senate president to ask him. They've not even called out the Senate president to even appeal with him to come out to talk in your side of the story. They know they talk that matter, but they just keep criticizing Natasha, keep trying to silence Natasha, and that is the most annoying part. I said it before. After they go dey blame Tinubu, say Tinubu no wan hear the voice of the masses, when dem themselves are busy silencing one of their own that is trying to speak out. What makes them different from what Tinubu did to end bad governance protesters? They are just the same. So meanwhile, the former Senate President Bukola Saraki has urged the current Senate President Godswill Akpabio to ensure that the sexual harassment allegation against him are thoroughly and transparently investigated. This is a man that is reasonable. This is someone that have sense. Wey be say in number six they work perfectly. That is what is expected from other people, other senators that are busy talking. This is what Nigerians are expecting from those people. They just need to advise the Senate president, please let this matter be investigated. But no, they are busy calling out Senator Natasha, telling her different things. So Saraki emphasized the importance of an open process and called on Akpabio and Senator Natasha Akpoti to appear before the Senate Committee on Ethical Privilege and Public Petition to clarify this position. This incident is really an embarrassment to this country. It's a slap to this country. The Senate president, who happens to be the number three citizen of any country, is not supposed, as in this kind thing not supposed come out from him at all. And as this thing don't happen, all he's expected to do is to come out to explain. Saraki, who previously governed Kwara State and remained a prominent figure in PDP, stressed that both Akpabio and Akpoti Uduaghan must cooperate fully with the Senate committee. He argued that only through a transparent investigation can the matter be fairly resolved. Saraki emphasized the necessity of accountability, stating that an open, fair, and unbiased inquiring is the only way to uphold the integrity of the Senate. Coming to that aspect of meeting the Senate committee is of no use, because all of them, virtually all of them in that Senate, they are all biased. From all they have been saying, starting from all the women, all of them, what they have been saying, they are all biased. One senator representing one constituency in Ebonyi State, I heard what that one said, that is not possible, that Senate president did not do something like that. Were you there? They are all biased. So setting up an investigation committee with the same set of senators will not work out anything. That is just the truth. All of them, they call Senate president our father, like say they don't know their father. So this Saraki's call for transparency really underscores the significance of this case, as it tests the commitment of Nigeria's legislative body. to uphold ethical standard and ensuring accountability within its rank. The handling of this case will likely shape public perception of the Senate Committee to justice, fairness, and the rule of law. I have this video that I want to leave with you. A public analyst, Mona here waiting in still get to talk about this case. A lot of people have been saying so many things, a lot of reactions. In fact, for over 2 weeks or thereabout, this has been the news on the internet. No other news. Now harassment matter na the rain now. And until the Senate president comes out to address this issue, and one thing I observe is that these reactions from a lot of people with the absence of the Senate president coming out to say something is actually magnifying this issue. Yes, it's really magnifying this issue. What Nigerians are expected to do is to keep quiet and listen. Natasha don't carry the case go court. Then may they allow them defend themselves for court. Please, as you watch the video, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.
What do you make of it?
I think first of all, the Senate President first is the number 3 citizen of the Federation. I think first of all, he owes Nigerians a very big apology for bringing the entire country and of course the Parliament, which is the number 1 institution in democracy, to disrepute. Having said this, I'm not saying that he's guilty or he's not guilty. I'm talking about his inability to manage the Senate and of course the National Assembly, devoid of one form of scandal or controversy per quarter. While he was the Minister for Niger Delta Affairs, he had his own fair share of controversies, to the point that a lady alleged that she slapped him. And also, don't forget the infamous honorable of the mic. So, if you look at how the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, has managed the Senate from when he became the Senate President, he hasn't really done pretty well in comparison to all other Senate presidents we've had. I mean, don't forget we've had what is his name? Evans, Chubo Kadibo, Pius Anyim, Kenan Namani, Wabara, David Mark. What's his name?
Some of whom have left the office unceremoniously. Am I right?
Yeah, but I mean, quite a number of them, from MRM to Kenan Namani, was serious. I mean, all kinds of turmoil. But of course, you will agree with me that turmoil at the time was engineered by the executive arm. It was also a learning curve for the nation at the time, because we were just getting, hang of democracy again after that protracted military rule. But if you take a look at the years of David Mark, he was a man who steered the ship properly, where he had command of the seats. He had respect for his colleagues. Where his colleagues erred or misunderstood or misinterpret their rules or the Constitution, most often you will see him, he will listen, then he will tell his colleague that I want to rule you out of order because this is what you've done wrong, or this is what...
You're saying there's always an arm around a senator when he's speaking out of turn.
Always. If you look at the days of Senator Bukola Saraki, which was also very tumultuous with the executive, and of course the Parliament having their challenges because they had their own mindsets. And he was one Senate President who was practically in the courts almost throughout his tenure. But you will see that at some point, even this Senator Akpabio, challenged the Senate President in many occasions. And you would see how Bukola Saraki was able to navigate without maligning or disrespecting any of them. Even I think it was that eighth Senate that had quite a number of women, and we didn't have any of these shenanigans that we're hearing today. So back to the issue of Senator Akpabio, why I said he has mismanaged that office and that position is that high offices come with higher responsibilities, and it is important that you understand that office. And a man who does not want to listen to advice most often always fall into troubled waters. This should be like the second or the third time he's having this, back and forth with Senator Natasha Akpoti. And when you listen to the Senate President speak, he smacks of a lot of arrogance. He smacks a lot of he speaks with a lot of, with a condescending tone most often. I listened to him speak to Senator Ndume at some point. I listened to him speak to Senator Yari at the beginning. I listened to him speak to Senator Ireti Kengibe, who, funny enough, sticking sides with the Senate President on this matter. Now, for me, I think from what I've read and what I've found out is that the challenge began in this particular time where, Senator Akpoti believed she was disrespected, and that's why she interpreted it to be harassment, with the change of seats. She said it's a tough time her seat was being changed. That normally what usually happens is that if there's going to be any changes on the floor of the Senate, either you're sitting or what have you, an email will be sent or an SMS will be sent explaining why, okay, going forward, we are going to be sitting in this particular location because of A, B, C. He said that was not done. That's one. Two, if you're going to be removed or made the chairman or whatever, a letter will be sent or an email will be sent and it will be clearly explained. Because the truth is, the Senate President is first amongst equal. So they are one and the same. He's not their boss. It's just that someone must lead. So, but he appears to present himself like an emperor. And when you have strong personalities like Natasha Akpoti, you don't expect her to budge. So, unfortunately, all these shenanigans is happening because Senator Akpabio has failed to manage that position properly.
You're saying, irrespective of what the facts may show,
yes,
he still should take responsibility for this fallout.
Absolutely. I'll give you an example. When Senator Akpoti was asked to change her seat, because from the explanation we've gotten, some members of the Senate from other political parties moved to APC, and the way they sit is that the opposition sits on the left of the Senate President and the majority sit on the right. That has been the practice. Now, some time ago, there were defections to APC, so their numbers swelled. Senator Akpoti's seat was changed. She didn't like it, so I think they had a private discussion. She now went to that upper level, to that position, and begged to be there. So they were fine with it. But in recent past, there were more defections from Labour Party, from PDP, and from other political parties to APC, and they also made subsequent adjustments. And I believe she feels that she's being targeted because she felt that there are other people who sat next to her, but they were not moved, and that she was now moved to an obscure position. But that's a different conversation. But the bane of the matter was that there was no prior communication. It's like you just come into the office, this is where your office used to be, all of a sudden you find out that all your things have been moved to another office without prior. I mean, you won't find it funny.
Yeah.
If you recall, after the 2023 general elections, it was very clear that the sitting government, led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, did not receive the most popular vote. So he came in as the most unpopular president ever in the history of Nigeria. Most unpopular.
You have to provide some context.
I'll bring you context.
With the slimmest margins.
With the slimmest margin.
Popular vote.
Well, he did not have the overwhelming,
right.
So he won the election by the results, declared by INEC. He defeated his closest rival by about 1.9 million, about 2 million votes. Now, of course, the other part. But if you combine the second and the third results, you would see clearly that majority of the populace went for the opposition. It doesn't matter if the mathematics is mathing for either of them to win or not. But the fact, shows clearly in the past, when you see the winner, for example, when President Muhammadu Buhari won his 2019 election, he defeated his closest rival by almost 2.5 or 2.7 million votes. And if you add the second, third, and fourth, they still didn't beat him. In 2015, he defeated President Jonathan at the time with about 2 million votes or 2.1 million votes. If you add President Jonathan's result and the third person, President Muhammadu Buhari still defeated them. If you go in history, you will see, but for the first time in Nigeria, the second and the third result, if you merge it, they beat the winner hands down, which shows you the direction of the nation. And so I make that bold statement to say that he came in as president, but quite unpopular because he didn't receive the volume of votes that his predecessors normally would have. But that's, by the way, somebody can argue that later. Which meant that the government came in with a deficit, trust deficit, and they needed to build that trust. And most often, when a government comes in with that level of deficit, what you do, most people say, political economists say, or political scientists say, is that you build what you call elite consensus. Because when you build the elite consensus, it will dovetail into the populace. And by so doing, you show up that level of trust. And in Nigeria, for many years, there has been trust deficit between the people and the government. Now, the parliament is supposed to be the people's house. The parliament is supposed to be the place where the voice of the people is heard through their constituent representative or their senatorial representatives. Now, Senator Akpabio represents one of the senatorial representatives, Dito Senator Akpoti. Now, the two of them have this big claim for whatever is worth, which shouldn't even be a problem. But it's a problem because we are talking about the number 3 citizen of Nigeria, which invariably means that, God forbid, if anything happens tomorrow, before to the president and the vice president, that's the man that is going to be the president of Nigeria, pending on when the election is conducted.